개발자 TV.
The collections that we just made. So in this first collection here that's provided for us, this users collection, you can see that we're given an email, a password, a username, and a full name to start with. Now these are required properties. You can't actually delete these, right? But you can tell by this little lock icon here, because these are the basic properties that you need in the users collection in order for your app to function. Without these, you basically have no way for your users to actually use your app. So these are provided for you by default. But what we can do is we can add different properties to this. And there's lots of different property types that you can add. So if I click on add property, you can see that we can add text, we can add a number, we can add a true false field, right? So it's either true or false. We can add a date and time. We can add just a date. We can add an image field, which is going to be critical when we get to our posts collection. And we can even upload a file. And we'll touch on the relationships in a later video. I'm not going to go over this right now. But for these first few property types here, these are pretty self-explanatory, really. A text field, a text property will let you put in numbers, letters, symbols, even emojis, right? It can hold all of that stuff. Numbers can only hold digits, right? So decimal places, whole numbers, negative numbers, things like that. It can only hold those types of values. True, false, obviously, is either on or off, right? You can think of it like flipping a switch. A date and time is going to have, exactly like it sounds, a date and a time associated with it, whereas a date field is really only going to be that date at midnight on that day, right? It's kind of irrespective of time. It doesn't regard time in any way. The image field is exactly what it sounds like. It lets us upload an image, a single image, to this property, right? And we'll get a little bit later into how to upload multiple images and different things like that. But an image property primarily lets you upload one image to that particular record. And the file is kind of the same way. It lets us upload one file to that property type in the collection. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add a spot for the user's birthday here. And a birthday, I don't really need to know the time that they were born. It's just nice to know like when they were, the actual day that they were born, because maybe we want to make sure that they're old enough to use the app or something, or old enough to view certain content, right? So I'll just create a birthday property here and click save. And there's a bunch of other properties that we could add here, and we'll add more as we go, but just starting out, just, jot down, put in the ones that you think are relevant, right? So as a post, we obviously, maybe we will, instead of a name, maybe we want to call this like a description, or, I think description is pretty good. Let's use that. And obviously a post, since this is Instagram, we have to have an image, right? At least one. So let's add, and it's best to be very descriptive with these, right? You want to be as descriptive as possible about what these properties are so that you don't get confused later on. So I'm going to call that post image. Maybe a post has a location, right? So I'm going to add a text property here and say like, where was this post taken? And as we'll look at in a little bit, each collection has a couple of other properties that are by default. So it tracks when a post was created. It also tracks the last time that it was modified. So we don't need to add a date property here for when that post was created, because Adalo kind of does that for us automatically. All right, post, that looks pretty good. Comments, right? Maybe the comment, instead of name here, maybe we'll just call this like comment text, right? And maybe on this one, we'll call this, the comment, maybe it needs maybe that's actually all it needs is just the comment text, right? Because we've got the date already. A notification, maybe here we need to have like the title of the notification. And let's add another one for maybe the body of the notification. And eventually we'll look at how to tie notifications to posts and to users and all that sort of stuff when we look at relationships. But I'm going to add another one here for the notification type. Okay. Right, because we can have notifications about commenting when someone comments on something. We could have a notification when someone follows or unfollows someone. There's all sorts of different types of notifications that we might send or receive, right? When someone sends a message, for example. And speaking of messages, here instead of name, let's just rename this to like message text, right? And I think that's all we need for now until we get to relationships, which we'll look at very shortly.